Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Force with some more Hearthstone, and today's spotlight will be taking a look at a mid-range Shaman deck by Kychu, a legend player from Hearthstone's subreddit. We've got some cards to deal with the zoo and aggro decks like the Feral Spear and Lightning Storm, some control cards such as Hex and Earch Shock, and then a solid mid-game with minions like Argent Commander and Fire Elemental. Now with the general premise out of the way, let's take a look at the deck in action. You know, spotlighting this deck today really drove home the fact that we need some new cards to shift up the metagame, because this deck looks just painstakingly familiar to some of the other control Shaman decks we've taken a look at in the past. But nonetheless, we're gonna hop in here, we're gonna play some games and do a spotlight of Kychu's mid-range Shaman. So we're starting off here with the Argent Squire. That's obviously going to be pretty susceptible to our opponent here with his ability to shapeshift and just attack it a couple of times. However, I do plan to throw down a Flametongue Totem next turn, and this is going to give him really something to think about here. So now we've got the Flametongue Totem. I'm going to hit him in the face for 3. This is going to be a big pain in the butt. He could innervate into a swipe, but then he'd still have to deal with this. If he coins, that's not enough for the swipe. He could Wrath this for 3. That is actually a potential. So we may be seeing that. In fact, if he has it, he probably should Wrath this for 3 to cut back on some of this damage. But then in that case, we still are hitting him for a few turns with the Argent Squire. So either way, this is some pressure for our opponent. There it is. Wrath for 3 damage. So that does go ahead and get rid of this. However, that, you know, I'm assuming that were he not to do that this turn, he probably would have shapeshifted into it, and then the turn after Wrathed it for 1 for the card draw. Now, because of how we did that, he no longer has that option, and he's going to be dealing with this Argent Squire just a wee bit longer. We ended up getting the Wrath of Air Totem, which is very good. This turns his Lightning Bolt into 4 damage. So if he tries to bust out some early game crazy large creatures, we can do that. We do, of course, still have the Hex as well, which will probably be especially useful in this matchup. Okay, so here we go. I'm expecting a Druid of the Claw here. Oh, a Stampede and Kodo, never mind. Let's see what he ends up getting. It doesn't end up getting exactly what he may have wanted, and well, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't think we want to Hex that. I really don't. So we might just go with the Lava Burst, which is not ideal, but there's just many bigger targets for that Hex, so I think we're just gonna throw the Lava Burst at that and then hit him for 1 again. They're playing against a Druid. There are just some bigger late game threats that we expect, especially this being what appears to be a Druid control deck. Just many bigger threats that we expect to deal with, and yeah. Anyways, let's take a look here. Let's think about this. I'm gonna take a chance rolling of the dice here. Okay, that's not what we wanted. So, for that reason, I'm not going to attack into that right now. We are not going to attack into that quite yet. Now what we could do next turn is a Drake plus the Lightning Bolt for 4 and then finish it off with 5. I don't anticipate that he will kill this turn without that taking damage. Not impossible, but I just don't. Because if he swipes me, gets rid of the shield, he can't then shapeshift. I don't know, actually, has he used his coin? I know he used an Innervate. You know what, he could if he coins too. But I also feel like, from his perspective, that would sort of be a waste of a coin just to guarantee a kill of a Squire this turn. So what I'm thinking is going to happen is that if he gets rid of this, he takes 1 damage from that, and then we can bolt for 4. That's... yeah, okay, so, yeah. Boy. We might have to throw down the Hex, I don't know. Now this is only for 4. So that's 5 damage, which is not enough. This, obviously, we could get rid of that pretty, you know, that would do it, but I don't really want to take that damage to the face. I think I'm actually just going to throw down the Hex right now. Something that I did not initially plan on doing. I did not initially plan on doing that. Overload, we could still do this next turn for some big damage. Yeah, let's get rid of that. So we're gonna be sitting on 6 next turn, so we can still do the Doomhammer Rockbiter. Or the Drake plus a Rockbiter to trade up for if he plays a 4 health minion. Which actually no, he's just gonna attack into that right now. Oh boy, this will be interesting. Alright, so Power of the Wild for the 3/2. Man, oh man, oh man. So we can do this. But we just won't throw the Rockbiter on it right away. I think that's what we'll do. You're gonna do this. I'm not gonna throw the Rockbiter on it right now though, because I'd like to use it for 10 damage to his face. You see what I mean? So, because the Rockbiter is only until end of turn. So as long as this lives, as long as he doesn't throw down a slime, and this lives, then we'll have a 10 turn damage just from this weapon. Which would be pretty huge. Which would absolutely be pretty huge. This has been a very interesting game. On both ends. Like, I don't really know what he is doing. That hasn't been fantastic for me either, so. And we are both at 22. Obviously I do have the presence of this, but. Okay, so that is not gonna do it. We actually don't have a great response to that. I mean, yes, I can kill it, but I would take 2 attacks to the face, which I don't want to do. I think we'll have to do this though. Yeah. This is probably the best bet. Because this is only 5 damage, and then we'd have to attack into it again, so at least this way, we're going to take that damage once, and then we have a second attack for his face. And we still have this in play. For now, at least. For now, at least. We won't be dealing with any more overload next turn, so we'll be sitting on 9 mana crystals. Which 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, if we get like a lightning bolt, we could get a big damage lightning bolt with double spell power. Plus an attack for 10, because it'd be 5, 6, 7, 8 for the lightning bolt, 9 for the Rockbiter. I mean, that could be a huge damage turn. Although I don't anticipate that this will live, so we'll just have to play it by ear here. If he doesn't kill this, I'm probably going to attack him for 14 with the Rockbiter double Doomhammer plus this. If he doesn't kill this, this is interesting though, because could he push through some big damage is a concern. Well, we can kill that, and yeah, this is it. This is the turn. Let's draw a card, see what we get. Oh my gosh, double Rockbiter? Is that, let's see, 6? That's 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 4 is 20. That's not quite fatal, but that's a hilarious turn. Okay, so what we're gonna do it this way. The Bloodmage, so now we can kill that without it returning. So this way I don't have to worry about him doing anything else crazy with that. And then we can hit him for 14. There we go. So it would have been, if I did this, that would have been 6, 7, 8, that would have been 16 plus the 4, which was not gonna be enough damage for the win, just from there. I didn't want that thing to live in case he threw out some extra crazy damage. I mean, yeah, with the Force Nature combo, he can push through a lot of damage. With the Force Roar combo, excuse me, he can push through a ton of damage, so. I'm still not, let's see, because that 4 plus 4 is 8, 12, 13, 4, okay, so that doesn't do it for him. He does have the 2 taunts, we can kill those unless he manages to get rid of both of these. Oh boy. No, we're still fine, there's the, okay, we're all set. There's the win, that's it, that's, yeah. So we just kill those, then we hit him for 10, and then that's it. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Go like this. The attack for 10 to secure the victory. All right, guys, that's a game. Let's wrap things up by taking a quick look at the deck list. So yes, this deck is not that unfamiliar. In fact, it's very, I mean, the deck list It looks almost identical to some Shaman decks, so Shaman control decks that we've looked at in the past. Again, further reminding me of the need for those new cards from Naxxramas to shift up the metagame. But let's take a look at this mid-range Shaman deck by Kychu. Once again, we've got 2 Earth Shocks for that damage, mostly for the silence though. The Lightning Bolts can be used for early removal or to push through some extra damage, especially running Drake plus Bloodmage Thalnos plus the Totem. You can potentially get 3 extra spell damage, turning this into 6 damage for 1 mana crystal. Very, very nice. Rockbiter Weapon, used a lot of times to trade up minions, get rid of opponents' threats. However, can also be used in conjunction with the Doomhammer to push through some massive damage. Argent Squire, just a decent early play, especially if you can follow it up with the Flametongue Totem, followed up with a Coin Feral Spirit, so you'll be pushing through that extra 1 damage turn after turn, harder time of your opponent getting to it. Bloodmage Thalnos, because we've got a decent amount of spell damage here, it does pay to have this card. 2 of the Flametongue Totems, just such a strong card with all the totems that you have innately from your hero power, or throwing that in between a Feral Spirit. You know, you put down Feral Spirit on turn 3, then turn 4 you're locked 2, that extra 2 you put a Flametongue Totem on it, all of a sudden you're hitting them for 8. That's pretty scary for someone to deal with. We've got the Hex used for control, same general idea as the Earth Shock, used to control opponents' minions. Lava Burst either for removal or pushing through that damage. Lightning Storm for board clear, board removal, and control. Feral Spirit sort of does the same thing against those aggro zoo decks. I've got the Unbound Elementals because there is a lot of overload, so why not? Defender of Argus to pump up either your totems or any of these other creatures you've thrown down in play. The Doomhammer, you saw that go to work last game. And then we've got some solid mid-game creatures with the Drake, the Argent Commander, and the Fire Elemental, all just pretty value cards. Argent Commander typically 2-for-1s. Drake is a cantrip by giving you that extra card, plus the spell power, plus a 4/4 body, and then of course Fire Elemental. Can't really go wrong with that in any mid-range Shaman deck. And that's gonna do it, guys, here for the deck spotlight. Kychu's Legend deck. This is one of the decks you use to get Legend rank. Mid-range Shaman. We'll be taking a look at a few games in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.